The DC Extended Universe, also known as the Snyderverse, is beloved by many fans to this day and primarily talked about because of the Man of Steel, the unbeatable, the strongest depicted Superman out of all the Supermen, where Superman is just incredibly powerful in all his showings. He casually beats the Justice League, tanks attacks from Cyborg, and even against speedsters like the Flash, whose whole thing is that they are the fastest character. Flash is the fastest man alive. Superman can still keep up with him and outspeed him at times. This pretty much gives you the rough idea, and even Superman's earliest fights, they were still extremely destructive. That's his closest fight since Doomsday. But yeah, how strong is he? How fast is he? How strong are the Justice League with and without him? Well, that's what we'll be answering in this today's video. Now, before we begin, I'll get through some stuff. You all can leave your comments if you want to discuss about this video specifically. But I'll just say this, I'll be using the movies as the primary source and using interviews and behind the scenes statements as secondary sources. Nothing else. Now, with that out of the way, we know that Superman supposedly shifted a tectonic plate to prevent an earthquake, something that gets calculated to be around country level of power. Now, even other calculations of this very same feat should place him at country level as well. So that gives you a pretty good baseline for him. Now, aside from that, in the first movie, Superman, Man of Steel, he's shown to be struggling here. As you can see, he's like making a face, he's getting hurt by the beam. He's clearly struggling with each hit from the World Engine. His facial expression tells it all. And when he finally destroys the World Engine by flying through the beam after much struggle, it's kind of satisfactory, but he basically destroys the World Engine. That's the main thing here. Something that gets calculated to be hitting Superman with small planetary levels of power. Possibly neutron star level, but it's not really neutral star level, because if it were, it would mess up the entire scaling, and it is a possibility, not actuality. So right now Superman is planetary level, small planetary in fact, and with that let's move on to Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, where we basically get scaling from Doomsday here. As you can see, the author, I guess the main man behind the Snyderverse, Zack Snyder, mentions how Superman and Doomsday would have destroyed the planet. This should scale everyone to planetary. Wonder Woman, who can damage Superman, as you can see, she hit her with his shield and it turned red. Then she can also cut him, making him scream out in pain. And lastly, Wonder Woman also is able to match Doomsday in physical power and actually wound him. She also survived a mouth beam from him, and at last she is able to hold the final Doomsday who's trying to blow up the planet. All this should get her and Superman and everyone who scales to her and above at planetary level as well. This should pretty much get everyone above characters like Zod and Superman from Man of Steel. Also, just a side note, I won't be mentioning Batman, because as you can see, Batman makes the entire scaling wonky, because Batman is out here dodging Doomsday. If this were actually the case, then either Doomsday is attacking and fighting at human levels of speed, and everyone is like just some percentage of human speed, or the entire verse, basically all the humans like Batman can move at massively hypersonic or speed of light levels of speed. Now, we also have the Justice League movie, for instance, where we obviously know Superman easily beat Doomsday. This is after the resurrection, and Zack Snyder has gone on to confirm that Darkseid's power, Steppenwolf's power, are all on the level of Doomsday. This pretty much gets us to a point where this means that Superman went from being at the level of Doomsday to completely surpassing him. Even the rest of the Justice League can keep up with someone who is as strong as Doomsday, who Superman was struggling with at the time of his death. This should imply that the entire Justice League could take on someone like Doomsday on a pretty even fight, assuming he doesn't adapt. Now, this gets us a pretty good scaling for them, and with this, we can conclude that everyone upscales some percentage above planetary level. Now, with that out of the way, we can move on to the other strong characters like Black Adam, for example, who basically compares to the likes of Superman and above everyone else on Earth. This implies that by extension, the same Black Adam who gets statements repeatedly saying he is light speed, and the behind the scenes team basically says that he's near light speed, should mean that Superman, Black Adam, and everyone else except Flash for a reason would all be slower than light speed. After all, Black Adam can put Superman on his heels. So Black Adam and Superman would have to be relative, and if that's the case, then the entire universe, basically the DC extended universe, would be below light speed because Superman is obviously faster than them. Now, with that out of the way, this nonsense basically is a downplay if we include it, which I will for this video, I guess. We also have, because of those statements, we can upscale from Blue Beetle to get them to Brown Dwarf levels of power. This is a pretty good feat as well. Now we are lastly mentioning the Flash over here, because the Flash basically has his entire completely independent scaling and Superman does not scale to it because of this one line in the Zack Snyder Justice League movie. This one line indicates that Flash had not gone past the speed of light before, meaning by extension everyone in the DC extended universe would scale to below light speed. So this pretty much means that no one except the Flash is light speed or even beyond it, except I guess Superman and Black Adam, but that's through statements. Now I'll mention one last feat here for Superman basically, since we are told he's the most unstoppable force in the universe. As you can see, this is basically a scan for the interview. We can potentially say that this would mean he's stronger than a supercluster, that is the most powerful supercluster in the galaxy. That pretty much at most at the highest level would get him to solar system level, but that is pretty much stretching the line between what is and isn't meant by that statement. But yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys in the next one. Final conclusion, everyone is some tier around planetary, at most solar system level. Now since this is the end of the video, please like, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and see you guys in the next one.